This is all you need to know for expanding and factorizing brackets in under 7 minutes for the Edexcel IGCSE. So before I get into how to actually answer these questions, please do pause the video, give them a go. Alright, so the first question should be pretty simple to see. We have just c plus c plus c plus c, which is simply going to be 4c. 2r times 5p, well, we can just multiply the 2 and the 5 first, then the r and the p. So we have 2 times 5 is 10, r times p is rp. Alright, so for the third one, we have 5p plus 2q minus 3p minus 3q. We look at the like terms. So 5p minus 3p is 2p, and 2q minus 3q is minus q, since 2 minus 3 is minus 1. For our next one, all we have to do is look at these numbers here. We know that a negative before any two letters means that we're representing minus 1. So 2 plus 3 is 5, minus 1 is 4, so 4xy. All right, for the single bracket expansion, we look at the first term outside of the bracket and we multiply that with our first term inside the bracket initially. 4 times 2b is 8b, and then we just look at the next term after that. So 4 times 2 is 8. For question 2, we do the exact same thing. So 6p times 7q is going to be 42pq, and then 6p times minus 8 is minus 48p. 5ab times 2ab, we can break this up into 5 times 2 first. So 5 times 2 is 10. Then ab times ab, well, that's just a times b times b. So a times a is a squared, and b times b is b squared. If you're unsure about where we're getting these powers from, then do check out our previous video on indices. 5ab times minus 6b squared, well, we can write this out as minus 30, because 5 times minus 6 is minus 30. ab times b squared is going to be ab cubed. For our last question here, we have 8x times minus 2x plus 3y. So 8x times minus 2x, well, again, 8 times minus 2, minus 16. And then x times x is x squared. 8x times 3y, 8 times 3 is 24. And then x times y is xy. On the next slide are a few questions for you guys to have a go at. Let's start off with factorizing. What we're trying to do is find the largest number that goes into both 3 and 15, the highest common factor, the HCF. So let's think about 3. Well, we know 3 is a prime number, meaning it has no factors other than 3 in itself. So 3 can just be written as 3, essentially. If we break up 15 into its smaller parts, well, 15 we know is 5 times 3, right? So we can write 15 as 5 times 3. Now that we have an understanding of the factors that go into 3 and 15, these are also known as prime factors, by the way, because they are prime numbers. We look for the largest number that is common between these sets of prime factors. So in this case, guys, it's going to be 3. We'd first write 3 in an open bracket, and then we look at our first term here. What do we multiply 3 with to get y? Well, we multiply 3 with y to get 3y, right? So we can write y inside the bracket. What is it? 15 divided by 3. It's 5, isn't it? So we can simply write this as 5. Alright, so the second question looks a bit trickier. However, it's the exact same concept. Now, it looks trickier mainly because we have multiple different algebraic expressions present within this polynomial as well, such as xy, zy, and y squared. So first, think about the numbers that we actually have initially. So we have 8, 12, and minus 4. So we know that both 8 and 12 are divisible by minus 4. We know that 8 divided by minus 4 is minus 2. And we know that 12 divided by minus 4 is minus 3. So we already have our highest common factor, which is going to be minus 4 in this case, because we could divide minus 4 by minus 4 and get 1. So we know that minus 4 goes into all of these numbers here. So what we can do is we can take out a factor of minus 4, write out minus 4, and then a open bracket. Now you might just think that, oh, okay, we can therefore write down minus 2xy minus 3zy plus y squared. However, that's actually incorrect. That wouldn't be our final answer. In order to make our answer correct, look at the algebraic terms present. Well, we know xy is x times y, and we know zy is z times y. Y squared also is y times y. So what we can do here as well is take out a factor of y, since all of these terms right here are divisible by y. So take out a factor of minus 4y. So now that we know what our highest common factor is present between all of these terms here, we can simply divide each of these terms by minus 4y and put them inside the bracket. So 8xy divided by minus 4y, well, we look at the whole numbers first. So 8 divided by minus 4 is minus 2. xy divided by y is x. 12zy divided by minus 4y is minus 3z. And minus 4y squared divided by minus 4y is plus y. So this here would be our correct answer. All right, so now that we have gone over factorization, we can have a look at expansion. We start with our first term here, so x, and we multiply this by our first term in the second bracket. So this gives x squared. Then we take our first term and we multiply it by our second term in the second bracket, which is plus 9x, because x times 9 is plus 9x. Then we take our second term in the first bracket and we multiply it by the first term in the second bracket. So 3 times x is plus 3x. And then we take our second term in the first bracket and multiply it by our second term in the second bracket. So 3 times 9 is 27. For our next one here, it's the exact same thing, but we're just considering the 2 now being in front of the first x. So 2x times x is 2x squared. 2x times minus 9 is minus 18x. 3 times x is 3x. And 3 times minus 9 is minus 27. So we can simplify this even further. 2x squared minus 18 plus 3 minus 15x minus 27. On the next slide, we have a few questions on factorization and expansion.